What's going on, guys? This is Mr. Poggio, and this is your rock cycle dice game. So we already talked a little bit about Wagner and his evidence that he used to come up with this whole idea of continental drift, plate tectonics. I've talked to you about Iceland. We went on an adventure diving between the plate of North America and the Eurasian plate at Silfra. And again, this is Silfra, Iceland. But now I want you to go on an adventure. So you are going to be going through this journey as a rock in the Earth's rock cycle. These are the video instructions. So what I want you to do is to describe your experience as a rock during your journey on this rock cycle. You will need to describe your adventure at each spot at the roll of the dice and tell what type of rock you believe yourself to be in your reflection, specifically how you became that rock. Use your order of events and it'll be your 10 rolls below. You can choose any location to start and then use the roll on the digital dice. Of course, you could use real dice as well if you have it, but there's a digital dice for you linked here. The dice number will correlate to the spot on your cube. If you have a printer, feel free to print out the 7 cubes as well, and you could avoid having to even use dice. Again, you can start in any location. However, for my example, I will start at the Earth's interior. This is where new rock is birthed. So make sure to watch the video instructions, which is what we're doing now, and we'll take a look at these stations. The specific stations are Earth's interiors, rivers, oceans, sediment, mountains, clouds, and volcanoes. Clouds being that outlier, but of course it's very important with erosion. So you will be able to take a look at this document here. And this is kind of like your board that we'll go to. It has 7 different dice. Of course, they're not 3-dimensional because you'd have to print them and cut them out, which you're more than welcome to do, of course. But there's a little cheat sheet here on all types of rock or inorganic rock matter, from magma, igneous rock, sediment, sedimentary rocks, metamorphic rock, and then, of course, how they change from cooling and crystallizing, melting, heat and pressure, even just simple weathering and erosion. So I'm going to start in the Earth's interior. Of course, you could start in a volcano if you'd like. You know, rock could be sediment, be kind of broken apart, broken down. You could reside in a mountain, or again, in the clouds. This is going to be more for water and erosion. But you can be a rock in a river. You could be a rock in an ocean, or you could be a rock anywhere. Excuse me, the ocean being the last one. So I'm going to start in the Earth's interior. There's my numbers 1, 2, 3, 4, 5, and 6. I'm going to go to my digital dice, and I'll click a roll of the dice here. And when I stop my roll, I get 1. So that means I'm going to go back to my worksheet and say number 1. That'll be at the top. I'm in the Earth's interior. So for number 1, plate tectonics move. So it looks like I'm in the Earth's interior. Now I'm going to go to volcano. Now, before I do that, let me make sure I note in my assignment, where did my adventure begin? You're going to want to write in complete sentences, but obviously I started at Earth's interior. You can start anywhere you want. What was the first thing that happened? It looks like I would say something about moving from Earth's interior to volcano. Obviously, you could get more into that whole detail. I went through blank, and you'll see here as I go to my next roll, I'm going to go to volcano. So now I'm on my roll number 2, and I'm going to go to volcano. Give my digital dice another roll. Looks like a lot of advertisements here for me are restoring my vision. I must have bad vision, huh? Algorithms already know me. All right, now I rolled a 2. So you're going to go back here and say number 2 for volcanoes. So intrusive rock is exposed at the surface. So I'm going to go to sediment now. So I'm going through the process of weathering and erosion. So now you're going to go back to your document. All right, what was the first thing that happened? Looks like I became sediment. And then I went through the process of weathering, and you could explain how you went from a volcano to becoming sediment. Excuse me, make sure I spell sediment correctly for you guys. There you go. So you're going to be going through this process over 10 rolls. Again, you're always going to reference your rock cycle cubes. If you cut them out, you don't even need a dice, but you'll see each one correlates 1 through 6. Wait, where was I supposed to go again? Sediment. So I would go to sediment. Wow, this is just a coincidence. I'm going right down the list. Promise. Usually you'll be jumping around. But you'll do one more roll of the die. Again, a total of 10 times. Looks like this time I'm on 1, rolling lower numbers. And sediment. All right. Pressure occurs, go to Earth's interior. So now I'm actually back where I started. So now I'm back up at Earth's interior. And again, you're going to tell the process of this rock that's going through the rock cycle between Earth's interior, between volcanoes as an option, between sediment, between mountains, between clouds. Again, clouds being more specific to weathering, water, and erosion. Rocks and rivers. Also has glacier melt, I believe, in there. And oceanic crust and rocks as well. So that's the idea of the rock cycle dice game. If you have any questions, let me know. But make sure you finish this as a Google Doc in Schoology or eCadence. And at the very bottom of the document, you're going to do a reflection of your adventure. So you're going to say, I started at, of course, Mr. Poggio started at Earth's interior. And in the Earth's crust now, I ended as, so after 10 rolls, or you could do more if you'd like, 10, 11, 12 rolls. Where did you end? And because, the because is going to be quite a little bit more of a story to tell. The instructions say that this reflection should be about 10 sentences or so. I would assume that each sentence would correlate to that roll of the dice. I was in a volcano, then I became sediment. I became sediment that now is in the Earth's interior, and that was just the quick start of my rock cycle story. And again, looking at our slides for the week, you could take a look at that cheat sheet in the actual document, or you could take a look right here in our module 28 slides. Give it a second as it loads, and you could take a look at that whole process of the rock cycle there too, that you listened to, or we referenced the very first day of our module 28 rock cycle and Pangea. So again, this slide right here might help you out, but this is all obviously a real process that rocks go through, and hopefully doing it yourself, seeing Mr. Poggio talk a little bit about it in the famous divergent plates of Iceland will give you a little bit better idea of how not just living things, but non-living things like rocks are all interconnected to this place that we call Earth. All right, good luck. Any questions on the rock cycle dice game? Make sure to hit Mr. Poggio up with an email. Peace.